Hi, good morning guys, thanks for joining me. I hope everyone's well, hope everyone's enjoying this nice bit of weather. So what I thought we'd do in today's video is talk a bit about cattails or greater reed mace. I did this kind of video a couple of years ago. In all fairness, I've just come out for a bit of experimentation for myself, but I thought whilst I was here I'd just put the camera on and just record what happens. So when it comes to cattails, what we tend to do every couple of years is strip the cattail beds just away from around the carp lakes. It soon starts to choke all the lakes up. In the last video which I did, I used fresh cattails and they work really well. You could use them as a flash tinder, you could add vaseline to them, you could also char them, you know, and it works as a real good natural tinder. But these ones, which I've harvested recently, around about 2 years old, maybe just a little bit older, and as you can see there, they've been exposed to the elements all the way through the winter. They've all started to open up and the seeds have started to come out. So I just wanted to run through the same kind of process really. We're just going to try it just with a ferro rod, just see if it just flashes up and burns around. I'm also going to add just a little bit of chapstick to it. I'm also just going to try charring it. Like I say, you know, in the past I've used fresh cattails, they work really well once they're dry. I just wanted just to see what they're like in this state. You know, is it worth keeping them if I do harvest them? If you do find them like this, you know, is it worth using them or is it just worth leaving them? So I'm just going to finish off this quick cup of tea and then I'm going to smooth the camera around. I'm just going to move over to the fire pit, get a little fire going, and then we can start charring a little bit of this and taking a look at it. So like I've just mentioned, the cattails which are recently harvested, around about 2 years old, something like that. I'm going to just give you just a quick close look. You can see there how they have all started to open up. And one thing which likes to open them up are things like sparrows, and use all the seeds as nesting material and that kind of thing. But when it comes to picking them, how I usually like them, I've got one somewhere in the bottom of one of these bags. And that's one of the fresher ones which I like to use. This again is around about 2 years old, nice and dry, and I actually harvested it just before it's split open. And if you do split these ones open, the seeds themselves are very, very fresh. As you can see there, they come spilling out. They soon pick up in the wind, carry off, and that's what sets all the other beds off. But with these ones here being a couple of years old, like I say, a bit of an experiment for myself. I just want to see how they flash, what happens to them if you add a little bit of Vaseline, something like that, and how they actually burn once they've been charred. So the ones which we're going to use are just in this bag. I'm just going to pull just a nice little handful out. I'm just going to pop it in the fire pit, and then we're just going to use a ferro rod and just see what happens to it. So as you could see there, that wasn't very good. It just burns just around the outside of it, hence the word flash tinder. It just flashes and burns around the outside. But it just shows, even though they have been weathered, you know, the amount of rain and snow and ice and all that kind of thing that have been covering them, it does show that at least they do still work. So I do carry something similar, certainly in the flint and steel set. I carry something called Kapok, and I usually carry something called Kapok when it says I haven't got any cattails. So that kind of thing, you can certainly put it in a tinder bundle. It would help it to smoulder, and it certainly help the tinder bundle to go. But just as a quick reference there, that is Kapok, and this comes from abroad. I think it comes from Brazil, somewhere like that. But again, you know, if you want to use your natural tinders, then you could use something like your cattails, put it in your tinder bundle. It does work really well. So just to maintain just that burn time for a little bit longer, I'm just going to try just adding a little bit of Vaseline to it. I've got a small little tin here which I tend to keep in the pocket of a rucksack, and again you could use that as a lip balm. You could use it for what we're going to do for the moment as a fire extender and that kind of thing, you know, and it does work relatively well. So that's the cattail now liberally coated. What I'm going to do is just fluff it out just a little bit like a cotton wool ball, and I'm just going to pop it in the fire pit and just see how this burns. And with this kind of thing, a lot of it's down to the wind. If that wind's blowing quite strong, it may blow it out, but we're just going to give it a go anyway. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. It was certainly a lot better than when it first flashed around the top. Just adding that little bit of Vaseline to it as containing that flame. It certainly doesn't burn as long as cotton wool and that kind of thing. Probably just something down to the fact that that cattail, like I was saying, was weather beaten. Through experience of using fresh ones, I do know that they do work quite a bit better. So the next thing which we're going to use is a charring tin. We're going to char it just to see how it turns out. And the last time I did this, it turned out quite well, and I always carry just a small little charring tin just in the fire kit. And the tins which I like to use, I've got a couple of air rifles, and I do tend to keep the 177 tins. They're a nice little size, they fit in the fire kit quite well. I do like the ones with the threads on them, just stops the lids from popping off when they're in the fire. So we're just going to get the old cattail, we're just going to pack it as tight as we can in the can. We're just going to get a fire started, drop it in, have a cup of tea and see what happens. So just whilst I've been waiting for that char just to finish off, the fire's now gone out and everything's just starting to cool down. I just thought I'd just have a play about and just do a little bit of carving. Not the best wood selection in the world. I've got this little piece of crab apple. Never come across anything so gnarly and twisted in all my life. Very similar to carving birch, it's that similar kind of texture, but the spoon itself is nothing but knots and chips and splits and bends. But you know, it's all good practice, you know, using wood like this, which isn't perfect, you know, just makes things a little bit easier for when things are perfect. So that char's now just cooled down. I'm just going to pull it out to the fire pit and just see if it works. And just making sure this has cooled down properly, and the end result is that little cake there, nicely charred, and it's quite firm in the centre. And first thing this morning I just picked up a bit of grass. So this was just a bit of dry grass which I spotted just on the way in, and then what we're going to do is just put just a little bit of cattail just as an inlay, just so that can smoulder and just help the initial little ember that we're going to put in. There should be enough grass there, I would have thought. And as you can see, or if the camera's not picking it up, we just started just to get it glowing just there. So we're just going to tip that just onto the cattail. So that didn't work out too bad. The flint and steel worked quite easily just to get the initial ember. The tinder bundle, in all fairness, went up really quick, and that's not the traditional way or the standard way which I tend to make tinder bundles. I do like to put a bit more coarser material just at the back, just to stop them from burning out as quick as that one did there. But just for a quick experiment, just to see, you know, if these cattails work when they're weather beaten, you know, in my opinion, that didn't seem too bad. So there we have it, guys, just a quick look at the cattail or the greater reed mace, and the experiments, like I say, you know, work quite well. Probably what I'm just going to do if I do come across any of the old ones is just use them for Tinder bundles and just char them, that kind of thing. You know, they just flash up too quick. You know, if you're just going to be using them just on their own, or if you're going to put Vaseline with them, there's obviously other things which work a little bit better, you know, things like cotton wool and that kind of thing. But again, you know, it's just nice just to come out, get a little bit of fresh air, you know, try these different things out. And that's one of the beauties about, you know, coming out, getting into bushcraft, getting into the outdoors, that kind of thing. There's so many different things that you can try. So like always guys, you just leave me say thanks a lot for you stopping by and watching the video. Like always, until next time, you take care and I'll see you again.